My name is David, and this is The Big Shut-In. It's April 22nd, day 39 of lockdown. And tonight I talked to my friend Patrick Sasso, who runs a company called Loop 7. Patrick and I belong to the same sort of networking club. We run similar businesses, he and I. We both run small multimedia production companies here in New York. His is more exclusively focused on video than mine is, though. And so business has been tough for Patrick, as it has been for a lot of people, with the closing of all live events and really the inability to dispatch video crews out to film anything and lack of things to film. But the last meeting of this club, which is a bunch of small business owners who are in marketing adjacent fields, which is a big multi-person Zoom meeting we had on Friday, he spoke very sincerely and surprisingly, I thought, about optimism and feeling like maybe everyone being shut down wasn't such a bad thing. And he's the first person I really have heard speak like that in any significant way. And so I invited him to come on because I wanted to hear more. I wanted to dive into that with him and hear what that meant, what that was about. Anyway, it was a really good conversation. I really enjoyed talking to him. And so I'll go ahead and play it for you. Here's Patrick. So how are you generally?
So overall, I'd say pretty good. I mean, I don't know, because I don't think it's really hit me fully how weird it is, because it's pretty weird.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's so when you ask, how am I, say, I gotta say fine, basically. Doing okay, but,
I tell you why I really wanted to talk to you. You said something the other day about the world needing a break. And it was just it's one of the very few vaguely positive things I've heard anybody say about this whole situation. And my heart and soul could use a silver lining take. And so I was hoping you could dig into that a little bit and tell me what you meant by that. And what kind of break do you think the world is getting, and why does it need it?
Well, I know that when I said it, I didn't analyze it 100%. I just was a gut feeling, And,
well, I got time.
Yeah, I guess we can analyze it right here. Well, so I'll try to. I was actually thinking about it after I did say it out loud on Friday. For me, I always believed from a long time ago, like, as I grew older and saw what happened, like what's happening with the world. I mean, you name it: climate change, this, that, all this other crap that's happening. I used to think that there's no way that we can come together and work a system out for everybody and work out differences and work out problems unless we're forced to in some way that hits the reset button. And I always thought it was going to be another war, another really big war.
Or space aliens, maybe. That was always my fantasy when I was a kid. Like the world would be forced to come together because of war with another planet. Like I mean.
But yeah, that's always the thought I had is like, how is this possible? The more you read history, the more you look at world problems and politics, we don't wake up until we get slapped in the head. And I don't know. And this is kind of I feel like a little, because I feel like the world totally runs on business. Business involved, like money is definitely, as they say, money makes the world go round. It's, that's what it. That's what's making all the decisions, and that is really what's getting hurt right now. Is business, and it's forcing it to change in some way. I think I could be wrong. It just feels like they have to stop for a minute, and it feels like everybody has to stop, and at least, even if you're consuming more and trying to keep yourself busy with whatever it is, I feel like you're tapping into these. Well, wait a minute. Okay, how are we going to get out of this? Wait, what? They're doing this. They're doing that. The banks are doing this. The banks aren't giving these loans. Why? That's not right. More. It feels like people are a little more active towards thinking about something together instead of thinking about their own little world separately. And maybe that's the pause.
I mean, there's something to be angry about every half an hour on the half an hour, about the way this quote unquote financial bailout has rolled out. And, I mean, we live in such an oligarchy, that just the money just always collects at the top, no matter what, no matter who's suffering, no matter what the problems are. Like, all the money is going to end up in the banks and the oil companies and the big real estate moguls. And, they're the people who are going to end up with all the money, because the whole system is just funnels it, and all of this, it turns out that the big majority of this, I've been angry about this all day today, but the big majority of this, whatever stimulus money is coming out of Congress is pooling in the banks. And, but I mean, do you think, and I agree with you, that wasn't going to change without suffering, without a big, huge reset, like the way we got, things like Social Security and all that out of the Great Depression. But the way the politics is right now, where everybody, the people who are suffering the most, or are geared to suffer, or getting ready to suffer the most from this, are the same ones who are like most sort of spiritually invested in maintaining the oligarchy. This sort of religious attachment to it. I mean, do you think we're actually going to figure it out? Do you think we're actually gonna solve it? Do you think we're actually going to come together?
Well, I don't think anybody really knows that.
Are you optimistic?
I don't know, because I feel like I just don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. Personally, I feel like I'm relatively optimistic. And it might be because of some of the sentiment in people and the willingness. I mean, if you look at this from just a purely taking odds perspective on the global economy and what it means to the whole world and to livelihood and the future and things like that. If you look at it just in a general sense of numbers, and you were playing a game, okay, where they told you in the game that you could either get this virus that would go around and kill 1% of your population or 2% of your population of the world, but it goes fast, and the rest of you will survive, but your economy will survive, and you might, come out of it better than if you stopped everything to save those 2 or 3% that could die from it. Do you know what I'm saying? To realize that all these people around the world are stopping the economy, the global economy, because of relatively, facts and figures wise, like I'm amazed that more people aren't pushing. I'm amazed that more the people I would call greedy, the politicians and the wealthy elite that we always call that we always see as greedy. I'm surprised that more of them aren't saying, why are we doing this? Why not we just keep going? I find that just the fact that we're willing to sacrifice all this for life, which we value it. We obviously value it. And I think that's a positive thing you have to take from all of this, just in general.
I think that's a beautiful way to look at it. I mean, if I were to try and take some other point or something, I mean, I hope we're doing this because we care about each other. I mean, I think there are selfish reasons why people are staying home too. I think they're scared of getting sick. I don't know.
I don't see. In our neighborhood, there's people around a lot. There's a lot of people outside. They don't seem to be that scared. Get it? And I think that if you said everything was open and you continued, like if that was the philosophy, like, okay, we're just going to continue, I think people would just find a way to protect themselves, but they would still go about their business. Because they would think that it had to be done. And the fact that we're, being forced a little to do this, I think it's good. I think it's good. I think it's positive. I think it is a different energy. It's just, we're really in this together. We're all in this together.
Yeah, man. All right. See? You did it. You did it. I don't know. I just, my whole life, I feel like I go back and forth on my opinion of humanity.
Yeah.
In general.
That's true.
It's like people really do care about each other and care about the world and are kind to each other. But then they can just be such shitty-eels too. I mean, just such horrible violence and rapaciousness, and it's a heck of a crucible we're in right now, I guess, of what's Lincoln's line, the better angels of our nature. What is gonna come out in the end.
Do you also notice? Did you also notice as nerve-wracking as this whole thing is as far as business goes and things like that, and there is a worry, but are you noticing panic in people?
No. Isn't
that strange?
You know what? Yes.
It hasn't hit them?
Let me take that back. I do know some people who are panicking. Yeah,
but in general, there's always going to be some people that are going to panic, right? But I'm talking about in general. I'm talking about, like, if you were to take the average temperature, would you say it was on a panic level, or would you say it was on an even keel, kind of waiting to see what's happening and sort of taking the moment and using it? Like, what would be your temperature reading?
Well, it's hard to say because it's hard for me to dip my thermometer anywhere but in my own living room. But I think it's an interesting question. I think resolute is the word I would use. People are saying, all right, this sucks, but this is what we're doing. Do you have what you need? Okay, I have what I need. Do you need any help? What can, it's I feel like people are really being gentle with each other, actually.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I don't see panic. I don't see people losing their mind and rioting and looting. I mean, that's what mass panic looks like, right?
Right.
But I do see depression. I do see exhaustion. Perhaps that's mostly when I look in the mirror. I see those things.
I was just. Yeah.
So, I think there are people who are panicking in this, but I think you're right. I think that in general, I mean, it's funny. It seems like the people who are really panicking are the ones who don't have it so bad. People in Michigan and
Right.
Georgia, where it hasn't really hit the way it has here. It's gonna, are in a much more of a place of panic than those of us here in the epicenter are. We're much sort of resigned to it or something. That's not a very optimistic word, but
Yeah. I mean, one thing that's interesting about New York is that it is a different collective, and it moves like a swarm of birds. It, as many people are here, and there's many different walks of life, and there's always conflict here, that's for sure. But I feel like it sort of moves together and grooves together and goes down together and has highs together, and there's a very, very different. I mean, I grew up in Canada. I guess it's a totally different like other cities. But I spent a lot of time in the Midwest, in Chicago, and things like that too, and Toronto. And I never ever felt like a camaraderie, like a spirit, like I was moving with a flock like that. And I think that's one of the reasons why I like it here. You feel like you're part of something. You don't feel like you're living somewhere separate in a big city. You're part of something here, and I sometimes I forget that because I don't, you know what I mean. I'm not in those other places that often anymore. So when I leave the city, I do notice it. It's different, and I feel like maybe that's the response I'm feeling during this whole thing. It has more to do with New York City than it has to do with the rest of the world.
yeah. Well, it's a fundamentally optimistic place, isn't it? New York.
Okay. Yeah.
Because everyone who moves here is saying, yeah, I'm going to go to the place with where the best people are in whatever field I'm in, and I'm going to swim in that pool. I'm going to hang out with the very best of the best in that field, and those are going to be my people because I deserve to be. I mean, everybody who moves here from somewhere else, which is most of the city, came here with that attitude on one level or another, or they got here immediately and realized they didn't have it and they turned around and left.
Yeah.
So the people who are here are all, tough, resolute, optimistic, delusional, and egomaniacs, right? And that plus a certain percentage of them actually are the best in the world at, in things like the arts, and then finance and science, And so I don't know. I've been here 15 years now, 16 maybe. And I don't think I could live anywhere else anymore. I just,
I've been here since '97. How long is that? 8 years. Yeah, it's long. Been here a while. But it's tough because I have now a need for, especially my wife. We need space. And if you can't afford it in the city, you gotta leave. And it's really hard because I don't really want to leave.
Well, right now you can't. So.
Right? Can't go anywhere anyway. Oh God. No, you know, I think now the more I think about it, maybe that's where maybe that's where I'm feeling it. Maybe that's where I'm feeling the pause. I'm feeling the pause more here. And I feel like in general that New York has a pulse, not only of its own, but I feel it does seriously have some kind of global pulse. And I might get in trouble for saying this, but I think that New York feels to me like a voice of reason. You know, and down to the guy at the Dell, you know, who says, you know, to someone who's overreacting, you know, or gives him a look, you know, and like,
you believe this guy?
Always, yeah, whatever. And I think sometimes New York does that for the rest of America. In weird little ways. So,
well, I've said that to people who talk about, you know, New York being rude or, you know, cold or something. And I don't think that's true at all. I think New York is just in a hurry. Yeah. Everyone's just busy, and they just don't have time or patience for, you know, everyone's bullshit meter is set very sensitively. And I appreciate that. I like that.
Yeah.
I know where people are coming from. I know that they're not feeding me a line, you know.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think that is such a that's something that I really value here. I feel like that nobody's going to give you anything you don't really deserve. Not really. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, there's things here and there, but I think they people here value not just that you want to, because you're gonna work your ass off for it. They value that. They value the fact that you're gonna hustle. They value another hustler because they have to hustle, and they actually are rooting for you. I think too. I don't think anybody here wants you to fail either, which is, I think, another amazing thing. I don't think competition is felt the same way here. I feel like there's a brotherhood of the hustlers. You know?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. But to be welcomed into that brotherhood does take a certain personality, right?
Oh yeah.
You have to be ambitious. You have to be hardworking. Yeah. You have to be talented. You know.
New York helps those who help themselves.
Yeah.
It really is different, though. It really is very different.
My name is David, and this is The Big Shut-In. If you have feedback for me or a story that you would like to share, you can reach me at TheBigShutIn@racecarradio.com. This show is a production of Racecar Radio, a division of Citizen Racecar.